All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah, name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Let's hit John 5:39. I tell you, it ain't gonna be the best quality of video. I can tell you that. Probably gotta do something to mess with the thing, but better late than never. Search the scriptures for honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that come from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's take a trip. Daniel chapter 11. Bear with me if I say end up being somewhat redundant this afternoon. And that's just to put some of the information that we done looked at on this particular vantage point for those who didn't get a chance to hear it because they weren't live and in the spot. Shalom, man. I could type it now, but I'm probably not gonna do that. No, you know, on the phone, I can type it on there, but you know, I have to pick up the phone and touch it, so I can just type it right now. It's gonna respond to you. That's what we've been doing. 11 and 32, right? And such as do we corrupt by flatteries, but the people who do know their Alahym shall be strong and do exploits. So I mentioned this in passing. Let's get it right now. Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. Now it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Alahym had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have Alahym said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, of course, we know something, right? I just seen a brother today mention this, that he was like, Satan gave Eve false knowledge. Before we actually went through these trees, how many of y'all thought that he gave her some false knowledge, that he taught her something wrong? And what led you to have that thought process?
He just came up with a doctrine of his own. She fell for it. She wanted to know.
Word. Did anybody else have a thought process of that he taught her false knowledge? Did any of y'all think that he had sex with her? As some people believe that that's what actually happened. Going on, which bro?
I heard people say they was smoking weed.
Smoking weed. How many of y'all ever heard the story of Lilith? Of Lilith. What you know about Lilith, cuz?
That was Adam's first wife. She didn't want to submit.
She didn't want to give up the buns. That's how the story goes.
Yeah. So
he said
she spoke God's name and flew off.
Yeah, they said he's supposed to told her, get beneath me, woman, and she wouldn't do it.
She wanted to be on top of her like that. What book was that?
Comes from Babylon. Ain't no script for it. You know, everybody try to be deep with the word and call themselves decoding it. Don't do nothing but make themselves look like a pure D jackass, but that's neither here nor there. You know. Indeed. They try to say, and let's look at that. Because I'm glad you mentioned that. That's what they try to say Cain come from. See, I'm streaming on my phone. So we can use all the tools now. Let's go to the first. Look at y'all. I'm already there. But we don't did this before. But 1 John chapter 3 and verse 7. Matter of fact, make it verse 6. A lot of people say that, see, Cain was of the wicked one, and they take that as he was of his natural flesh. But you have to look at the text. But again, this is more subtle and the deceit that this man is teaching. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all felt like y'all were deceived by somebody who was just openly like, I'm lying to you? Yeah, it doesn't really happen too often like that. Only the best con men and liars do that because you wouldn't expect them to do it. You know what I'm saying? The average, now truth be told, the best con men try to talk as little as possible because the more they talk, the more insight they give you that they conning you. They try to get you to talk. See, that's the common thought process. Somebody that talk a lot, they trying to deceive you, but the best con men try to say as little as possible. You know what I'm saying? Some people just talk a lot. I mean, shoot, men been asking that question about women for millenniums. Why they talk so much? See what I'm saying? I think that might come in because you want to do all the talking and you want him to listen to you and what you talking about. Like this here, like this, he might be telling you something good, and all you want to talk about is women, young and the wrestling. He like, here, he don't care nothing about Victor. That man, I'm trying to put you up on some game. You know what I mean? But 1 John chapter 3, right? Verse 6. It said, whosoever abide in him sin not. Whosoever sin have not seen him, neither known him. So pause. Now, we talked about that a little bit the other night, right? We talked about it last night specifically. It said, in order for you to renew your mind and to be made in true righteousness and Kadash, you would need to be taught of him and you would have heard of him. So the first thing I want y'all to understand and know, and this ain't no new topic for most of y'all, boy, if somebody tell you they know Yah and they see Yah and they sinning, they a liar. Because you're not finna sit here and say you see and know him and you sinning. Ain't that what it just said? Now, have you ever heard that before? And ain't that a shame? And this is in the part of the people life. No, I'm saying that for a reason, not to be on top of Christian people head. Shalom, bro. I'm talking about in regards, it's in the New Testament where most of those who are trained in that discipline stay. You know what I'm saying? And then there's certain things in that are not in line and congruent with the things that they say that you could be able to use against them if you were saying that what you telling me is faulty. You know what I'm saying? Because they tell you, you'll never stop sinning. You're always sinning. You just that in the third is what they tell you. But then at the same token, they'll tell you that Jesus came to take away your sins. Well, nigga, which one is it? Did he come to take them away? Or am I always going to be in them? Because it can't be both. You know what I'm saying? But that's when it's come. I won't necessarily say critical thinking. That's just coming out. If you don't know what the text actually conveys, I could tell you that, because what they're doing when they do this here is and I just heard some gentlemen talking about this. They were like, it's different. Now, see, y'all don't watch college basketball, but the coach for Michigan State snapped on one of his players during the game, yelled at him. Everybody was like, why did he do that? That ain't right. That ain't right. But that's the difference of the culture that we live in now versus a culture 30, 40 years ago. Because don't yell at me. Don't say this to me. What about my feelings? And that's why you have a generation of mentally weak people and emotionally weak people, because you've been coddled and everybody's worrying about your feelings. And then when you face some man of adversity, you can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? Because coaches and your parents were more worried about being your friend than actually to pull greatness out of somebody. You really have to stick a foot square up they behind. You know what I'm saying? Because you see something in them that they may not know they had. Like you say, a good coach will tell you, you bench press and you feel like you ain't got no more reps, but a good coach know you got 3 more. So give me them 3 more. And you're like, I hate this bastard. Until you actually see that strength that's in itself and you see why he told you to do them 3 more reps. Or he tell you to run 2 more sprints. You thought you only had 1 more sprint, but you got more in you. Then as you begin to see that this person is pulling this up out of you, then you begin to have confidence in whatever it is that you're going to do, because that's what a good coach is supposed to do, and they're not supposed to be your friend. You know what I'm saying? So when you come into a lot of stuff, people feel like they're supposed to be your friend. But you know full well, most people don't tell their friends about themselves because they feel like that's not being a good friend. But you know what the book say, right? Pause. I'll show you what the book say. Hold what you got. Come over here to Proverbs 27, if I'm not mistaken. I tell you what the book say, what a friend's supposed to do, and let's go along with Mashiach if you don't remember, and if you do remember, well, praise the Lamb. 27:5. No, that ain't what we're looking for now. Ain't looking at now. 27:5. Open rebuke is better than secret love, but he say, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. So say that was an open rebuke. Why was it a secret love? Because we just been talking about. Let me pull the word up for secret for you, because we've been talking about secret. Let's go ahead and tell you about that secret love. Because this was a love that Yah had for you that you didn't even know. You didn't even know Yah loved you to this particular point until he made that rebuke open. Let's pull this word up for secret real quick, see what we come up with. And we come up with the sathar, of which we had already been discussing, which is the samak, the tau, and the raj. So when you're looking at, you grab and hold to the covenant of the highest. That was kept secret. How do we know what that? Because we remember what we read in Romans. This was the secret from since the world began, but now it's made manifest by the preaching of the prophet. So you didn't know Yah loved you in this aspect. We mentioned this last night as well. It said in John 3, right? Says, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up. Because Alahym so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But till Yahushua came, did you know he loved you in that capacity? You didn't know that. So that open rebuke that he did by rebuking and chastising the son, let's come over here to Romans chapter 8 for that. Then you able to understand the love that he had for you, that you didn't know that until he openly rebuked his son before all. Then when you see faithful are the wounds of a friend, what's the first thing come to your head according to the text for that? Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Gotta move quick. You only got but a few more seconds. The Jeopardy buzzer done got you. What you got? Anything in the word that come to mind with that? Faithful are the wounds of a friend. All right, now don't let the Jeopardy buzzer get you. The Jeopardy buzzer got you. What about you? What about you? What about you? You gotta say it like a shoe. You don't talk that soft at the house, do you? You're asking for cinnamon toast crunch with almond milk. I bet you talk a little louder than that. I heard you in there talking about that almond milk like that. You like it, don't you? I'm just messing with you. Go ahead. He say, faithful are the wounds of a friend. What's up, Shayla? Faithful are the wounds of a friend. What's the first thing in the text come up with that? Any of y'all can answer that. What's the first thing come to your mind when you get from the text, when you hear faithful are the wounds of a friend? What's up, Monte? Trina said Jonathan or Peter. They were faithful followers. Brother Jennings here say when Paul reproved Peter over the Gentiles' sake. Don't let the Jeopardy buzzer get you, Callie. The Jeopardy buzzer done got you. What you got for me, lady? At least you didn't wait for the buzzer to get you. What about you, Mike? You got Peter? What about you, then?
I got Jonathan.
What about you? You got Nathan and David? You got something? Now, that's saying nothing with what y'all mentioned, because y'all were looking at faithful are the wounds of a friend. But the first thing come to my mind is he was wounded for our transgressions, because that's what like this is.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that.
No, I'm talking about shoot. I mean, I have others, but that's what he really talking about right this here is faithful are the wounds of a friend. But now how can we reconcile that with the text? Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, and something Zechariah like 13 something.
Yeah, he said these are the wounds that I received in the house of my friends. You are correct. About 13 to 6. You know what I'm saying? So, and you got to remember, because we done talked about that particular passage before. So you see how faithful his wounds were, because what was his wounds for? For redemption. But now the friend part. What's going on, dear? Dear say getting him being wounded as our friend, which is the Zechariah 13 that you mentioned. Somebody sounds upset. Is that Mordecai? Mordecai, you always getting injured, cuz. So let me ask you this here, right? You got to give me a second, get my mind back, right? Because Mordecai threw me off. Ain't Mordecai threw me off.
You was talking about the friend part.
Yeah, friend, reconcile it for me. Who can reconcile that for me? Okay, but what did he say in regards to how you could be his friend?
Servant don't do it.
You got it on the tip of your tongue, son. Come on with it. That what did he say? He said, and you are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. That too, but before he got to that point, no, he said, I don't call you servants. You know what I'm saying? But before he got to that point of mentioning that, what did he say? Greater love had no man in this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. If you do whatsoever I command you, which goes back to what we were talking about last night about being embraced and persuaded of the promises, right? Remember how we seen when Yahushua say, I'm going to die and resurrect the third day? He embraced and persuaded. He was embraced and persuaded by what he would promise. What was the other thing that was stated that he said, that we looked at in that regard? We also looked at, he said that he confessed that he was what? A pilgrim and a stranger on the earth. When he said that I am not of this world. He confessed that he was a stranger. So when he confessed that he was a stranger, that means, let's, because I didn't hit that part. So come on back to Hebrews 11. And we're still in Genesis chapter 3. Because you should feel like you a stranger. What's the one thing he said if you keep this covenant? He said you would be what type of treasure? A peculiar treasure. You know, peculiar is to be odd. You know what I'm saying? You know the word cult, by definition, that's what it means. Something that's odd or peculiar. That's the actual, what you call it? Webster's dictionary. Webster's dictionary definition. But come over here to Hebrews 11 and 14. Hebrews 11, because I didn't get that last night. That's my bad. And it says, right? For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. So Paul, so when Yahushua said that he was not of this world, he was declaring plainly what? That he's seeking a country. And he said, truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they may have opportunity to return. So now we got to look at, was Yahushua mindful of where he left from? Because we read that. He said, what and if you see me go back to where I came from? He was mindful from where he departed from. He said, I go back to my father. He said, I go where I'm going, you can't come. See, a lot of y'all, we read it in that Jeremiah 22 the other day, right? He said, don't weep for him who get killed, but weep for who? You know what he said in that? Does any of y'all know what he said? He said, don't weep for somebody who finna get killed. He said, weep for another individual. That they will never see their native country again. Because if you had been mindful where you left from, then you'd be mindful that you would want to return. And that goes back to what I'm talking about, the discipline, the commitment. See, Yahushua was disciplined and committed to get back to where he came from. See, most of us, we're not disciplined and committed to get back where we came from because you're not mindful of it because you like where you at. See, a lot of brew feel like they said we need to get us some land and build this and that's all on a natural level. That's all good, but this not my home. I'm a stranger and a pilgrim. I make sure I'm fluid because we can leave at any time. I don't want to build no roots here only because this dispensation of time is coming to a close. Do you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean we saying it's going to end tomorrow. It's going to end next year. But this dispensation of time is coming to a close. If you think that this man finna sit here and allow this earth to keep going in the fashion it's going and not come see niggas, you's insane. Do you know what I'm saying? You's insane. Like I just seen a brother right there because that junk crazy. Like with the situation with Nipsey passing, it just showed one thing that our people are still mired in the worst, and that is idolatry and self-worship of men. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not even just about the beast. It's that the thing that got you excommunicated in the first place is still present in your heart. It's not about him. He's just representative of what's in all y'all would just use this individual to show you what's in your heart. Ain't got nothing to do with him. You know what I'm saying? You can't turn around and say this man wanted people to worship him. He didn't conduct himself in that fashion. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come out and say, worship me. He did with what he did. He worked with the information that he felt was correct that he had at that present time. Whether he got the word or not in some capacity, I do not know. Do you know what I'm talking about? If he did and he rejected it, that's a sour deal for him. But regardless, he did what, this is what I have. This is what I feel like is the right thing to do. This is what I'm going to do. That's not asking for no worship. But once you see this individual leave, you see God will use people to manifest what's in the hearts of men. You know what I'm saying? Because now niggas is deifying a man. This is a man. This man got to stand in front of the same throne you got to stand in front of. You know what I'm talking about? Like I told you, niggas went so far to say he's sent by God. That's what his name means. Okay, what God you talking about? Because his name means this from another culture that doesn't serve y'all. So what God are you talking about? Because people in Africa worship a lot of gods. You know what I'm talking about? But guess what? According to what our words say, which we're going to get back to it, he was of the devil, and it is what it is. But guess what? Like I mentioned the other night, but you think he the sinner above all sinners? I tell you no. Except you repent, you shall likewise perish. And that's what people in the word need to remember, those who want to go off on the man, this, that, and the third. Okay, he's a sinner. Okay. But is he a sinner above all sinners? No. Because if you died like he died, you going with him. You know what I'm talking about? And don't know Brew want to have that conversation. Oh, you going with it. Don't sit back and be like, I don't care, he ain't no Israelite. You idiot. I don't care if he's an Israelite or not. He's a transgressor, he going to hell. If you a transgressor, you going with him. Yahushua ain't gonna look at you and be like, I'm gonna spare you, bro. You from Judah. No, he said judgment start out the house of Alahym. That's what the word say. That's what Peter wrote, and that's what Ezekiel showed you. You ain't see y'all go around and say the Canaanites around here worshiping Baal. He said, son of man, come to my house and look what they in there doing. You know what I'm saying? He said, well, I'm gonna kill them all. He said, start with the men at the house and don't spare nobody. Oh, no, he ain't say nothing about no Ethiopian then. They don't want to have that conversation. That don't make you feel good on the inside. It's better, but the worst part is the people who you see condemning the sinner the most are the biggest hypocrites and sinners you'll ever see. People who know the word ain't gonna openly do that. They just gonna be like, shoot, sucks for him. You know what I'm saying? Sucks for him. Feel for you. You know what I'm saying? I already know what his end gonna be. I ain't finna be jumping up and down in the street about it. You know what I'm saying? You know why I ain't gonna be jumping up and down in the street about it? Because our God say, I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth. So if he died in his sins, why would I derive pleasure from that? When your God don't derive pleasure from that. That's a sad thing. You're gonna get what you deserve, but that's unfortunate. That's why the book tell you ain't no hope for the dead. It's over with for him. Niggas in the word supposed to take that and say, hey man, this man died in his sins. You need to repent and save your soul. That's what you're supposed to do. If one of y'all was to die, that's what I'm gonna go to your funeral and tell you people. That nigga's done. Prayerfully, he done heard the gospel. His soul sealed.
And it's crazy that I read an article earlier with quotes from his parents, and his parents like not saying they cool with it, but they are okay. His mom's like, I'm at peace. His dad was like, he came here, he did his job,
He's out.
And his mom was like, she was like, they was coming to her to be like this, and she's like, I had to calm them down and like cool them off. She's like, I'm cool. Everybody else is the other people, and I was like, that's true, because y'all really is. Y'all took him to another level, and it's like people that was around him.
They didn't look at him that way. No, why would you? Because niggas are idolaters. And you look for someone to worship. You don't want to worship Yah, you rather worship a man. You know why you rather worship a man? Because men have frailties and Yah don't. So that means you got to meet Yah's standard to worship him, and you don't want to do that. Yeah. It's easier for you to stay the wicked nigga you always been. That's why you can identify with him. That's why Paul wrote that they enemies of the state. Because you enemies of self-sacrifice. You enemies of self-discipline. You hate that. You don't want nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? So you have to sit back and look at it, right? Because guess what? Like I said, right, Yahushua said that in Luke 13. You think he was walking around, you stupid sinner? He just told you, hey, man, it's better for you to pluck your eye out than have two eyes and go into hell where the worm dies not and the fire shall not be quenched. He just let him know what the consequences for. He wasn't jumping up and down like I'm ready for you to go. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't want you to go. But if you want to go, I ain't got no problem sending you. And I make sure I throw a couple extra charcoals on there for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because at that point, you done told me to my face, you hate me. You despise me. So I don't have a problem with doing it because since that, he said, I will repay them that hate me to their face. So he don't got no problem with that. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not his desire. You have to understand that's not his desire. But we ain't got no business out here worshiping men, though. We ain't got no business out here doing that. Because in the day, that nigga did some good stuff, but ain't none of it bring honor to Yah. And if you say you were serving to Yah, that's the first thing you supposed to look at. When you look at what happened, the honor went to him. That's why Yah don't pick famous people to do nothing. That's why he don't pick well-known people to do nothing. Because the esteem is not going to go to him. It's going to go to that man. That's a prime example of that. That's why he doesn't do it. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to, they said it's got nothing to do with him. He served his purpose in the will of Yah and it's over with. And his purpose might have been for his people to understand, start worshiping men. Period. You know what I'm saying? And my point is, I don't care about people in the world. They doing exactly what they supposed to do. But for the Hebrews that's doing it, it's despicable. Because you supposed to know better. Do you know what I'm saying? You supposed to know better. And like I said, that's just evidence that you don't know your God. Because if you knew your God, you would already know that that word from this individual is not from him. That's my point. It's not from him. On a natural level, you got to salute that man. You ain't got nothing you can say negative about what he was doing on a natural level. How if you did, you a buster. I ain't know nothing about his music, but I heard interviews from this man. I had respect for him. I ain't never listened to a song till you mentioned his album. I was like, you know what? This kind of tight. You know, listening for a little while, listening to new niggas too long that I'm not aware of. But I can't. Hey, this is a nice record. But the type of stuff he was on, it's niggas all across the country on that. But the thing was, he wasn't like being famous with it, going from city to city. He was doing it where he was from. That's it. So of course that's why it hit them people in his city harder than it hit somebody who's not from there. The rest of the niggas, they just die to worship. They just out of worship. That's all they do. Go ahead.
You say something about why that like that's why God let Moses take us to the land.
Absolutely.
We would have been worshiping Moses.
You would have been worshiping Moses.
Yeah.
You'd have been worshiping Moses. That's why he didn't let him get into the land, because you'd have been So he the one who delivered you from captivity. Then he gonna bring you into the promised land. You gonna worship him. You gonna worship him. That's why he had to stop him. Indeed, he left. You found something else to worship, because that's what people do. Carnal-minded people do that. You look for a physical manifestation of Alahym to worship. Because he said, you know, Yahuwah, Alahym of Yasharal, you're Alahym who hide yourself. So you want mistake. That's why you remember how I did mention, that's why you see in a lot of places Yahushua would hide his. That's what his daddy do. He just doing what his daddy did. I'm gonna hide myself. You can't find me, you can't see me. Even though I'm right here in front of your face. You know what I'm saying? And we don't look at it in that aspect, because our people, you've been so destroyed spiritually, you look for a man to worship. If it ain't a celebrity, it's your pastor. It's not a pastor, it's an athlete. It's not an athlete, it's a politician. It's not a politician, it's a social activist. That's what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's because they have weaknesses, they have frailties, they have sin, and you can identify with that better than the man who committed no sin and is demanding the same from you. So you don't want to do it that. That's why niggas don't like when you actually preach the gospel, because you demanding what y'all require. See, that brother think he this and he think he that. No, we think that's what y'all is. So we moving to be like him. We not trying to be like him. We must be like him. Yeah, indeed. We definitely have done that from the beginning. She just mentioned what you said with that calf. That's what you've been doing. You know what I'm saying? And my whole point is, you look like you highly upset. You all right over there, Mordecai? That look on your face don't look real now. You won't look me in the eyes now, do you? But I just mentioned that just on the simple fact of we don't really want, you don't want your God and you don't know him. You know what I'm saying? You have to take the time to know him. But let me read this verse 16 though. He say, but now they desire a better country that is in heavenly, wherefore Alahym is not ashamed to be called their Alahym. He have prepared for them a city. Now, what did Yahushua say about preparing a city? Did he say anything about that? He said, in my father's house, there's many mansions. I go to prepare. So he was already telling them about New Jerusalem. Because he said, you're not of this world, because I'm not of this world. And I've chosen you out of this world. What, you all right? Oh, you just listen. Your whole facial expression changed. I thought you had gas for a moment. But the reason why I say that, meaning being that these men are confessing that New Jerusalem is where they want to be. You know what I'm saying? When you confess that you're a stranger and a pilgrim on the earth, you confessing New Jerusalem is where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? That's where your Alahym is at. Your Alahym ain't nowhere else but there. Come on back to Genesis chapter 3. I just wanted to pull that word subtle up. And remember that, right? It's our room, and it's somebody who's shrewd and crafty and sensible. You know, you got your ayin on it, your rosh, your ooh, and your mean. But see, it's that experience and to know. Now, what would allow the serpent to be more subtle than any beast of the field is because he knew the law just like they did. And when I say they did, I mean the other Malachim and Alahym. This is why he was able to lie to this woman and tell her, you'll be like Alahym. Because they were the sons of Alahym that he was around, not Satan himself. You know what I'm talking about? So he knows what time it is. That's why he's able to deceive her. You can't deceive someone without without knowing the information. You know what I'm saying? You can't deceive somebody. See, somebody can tell if you don't know what you're talking about. Like you might not have strong command, but you got to have enough knowledge of the topic to deceive. You know what I'm saying? Most people who get deceived, nigga know just enough because that little bit of information, that's the hook that reel you in. Come on back to 1 John, right? 1 John 3 and 7. He said, little children, let no man deceive you. He that do righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. Now, what's the first thing they tell you about when you say you righteous? What's the first thing people like to say? It come out the word, too. You done heard it before. Might have even said it. It ain't coming to you. Coming to Isaiah 60. Is it 63? Come to Isaiah 63 with me. No, that ain't it. That ain't it. I'm trying to find it, make sure I'm in the right place. Oh no, that's something else. When he tell you that, he talking about niggas who hypocrites. Oh, Isaiah 64. It picked me up about you pick it up about verse 3. No, Isaiah, that's when he say that don't come near me. He talking about that's people who worship idols and got swine's flesh in their mouth, and then telling somebody, don't come near to me because I'm more set apart than you, but you a hypocrite. That's what that means. When somebody come at you talking about, oh, you think you holier than thou, you don't even know what they're talking about, because that's talking about somebody who's a hypocrite. And that's what they say to somebody who's in the same state as them. This is why Paul wrote, he says, so you think you're going to escape the same judgment? You know what I'm saying? You wicked back. All y'all done heard somebody say, oh, you holy, you think you holier than thou. And 9 times out of 10, they tell you that when you say that I got a standard that I'm upholding, and they just read that in the text, or somebody at the church house told them that, and they ran with it. But being holier than thou is reserved for hypocrites and hypocrites alone. Yeah, when he was like, but the difference, that's when it's different, because he's saying what he do versus what somebody else don't do. He's saying in this instance, you doing the things, but you telling somebody I'm holier than you. I'm you. Yeah. Yeah, don't come near to me. It's the same thing they did to Mary. What did they say in their heart about Mary when Mary was washing Yahushua's feet? She a sin. I'm holier than you. Nigga, you doing the same thing. Now, see, that was a little different. That's what he mentioned. Only because he was saying, I fast in the week. I don't do this here like these people. So in that one, he didn't really give the inference that he evil and he doing the same thing. He just thought he was better than the person who was transgressing. He said, look at me, I don't. I'm lifting myself up. Look at me. That's how a lot of niggas look at. I keep the Sabbath. I don't eat no pork. Oh, yeah, most definitely pride. That's why he say he that exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humble himself shall be exalted. Matter of fact, let me read what I'm talking about, and then I'll go back to Isaiah 64. 65 and 1 real quick. Yeah, we ain't gonna be long anyway. It's almost 4 o'clock, because we got to go again in about a couple hours. I got to preach again in a couple hours. Yes, I do. Yeah. He said, I'm sought of them that asked not for me. I'm found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. I've spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walk in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. And for those of you who may not be aware, when Mashiach was on that tree like this here, he was spreading his hands out unto a rebellious people, and you still wouldn't come to him. That's why he say, and you will not come to me that you might receive life, because the love of Alahym is not in you. Because if you knew your Alahym and you had love for him, you would come. That's why last night we looked at it when he said with the works of Abraham. That's why we took the time to look at the works of Abraham, because you can see Abraham love Yahuwah. He loved Yahuwah because he departed from his house not knowing where he was going, because he trusted him. He loved Yahuwah because he said, go save your nephew, and he saved him. He loved Yahuwah because he executed justice and judgment by killing all them kings. He loved Yahuwah that when he came across the high priest and the Most High Alahym, that he gave him a tenth of what he had, because he knew it was Yah that gave it to him, and that's why he had no problem with it. He loved Yahuwah because he listened to his wife when his wife imparted wisdom to him and said, get that stinking hoe and her son out of my house. Do you know what I'm saying? And I forget the other one we mentioned. And then most importantly of all, the mercy and forgiveness and long suffering that he manifested when he said, man, you can't kill everybody in Sodom. He said, what if it's righteous men there? He said, if you give me 50, I'll spare. He said, you give me 40, I'll spare. Boy, that's like I said, man, Abraham was interceding and pleading on people's behalf. These people ain't his people. See, that's also another example where you can see that Yah has a desire to save all men. Because what nation did Abraham come from? Who knows what nation Abraham came from? Ur Chaldees. Is Sodom and Gomorrah the same people of Ur and Chaldees? Absolutely not. Them ain't his people. But he played on their behalf, though. But that's another conversation. See, if a nigga knew they not Alahym, then they would know that this man, this is the father of many nations, or the exalted father, and he trying to save all men. He could have said, bump the nigga, kill him. Ain't none of my people. But he said, boy, it's got to be some righteous people in there. He said, you can't kill the righteous and the wicked. Give me 50, I spare him. You know it was bad because he got all the way down to 10. He said, I can't even find 10. I don't know how many people was living in Sodom and Gomorrah, but that's a sour deal when you can't find 10. And the only people who was there who could be saved was his nephew. Only his nephew, because remember, his daughter's two husbands didn't believe it either. What you gonna do? 65:3, right? He said, people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in gardens and burn incense upon altars of brick. See, these stupid niggas, they take that and see they be barbecuing. Niggas really took this and talking about this as people in this time barbecuing ribs. This ain't talking about nobody barbecuing no ribs. Listen what he said, which will remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh, and a broth of abominable things is in their vessel. So just on verse 4, you know full well what you doing at the graveyard. You ain't got no business at no graveyard. You know what I'm saying? If you look here, man, if you go to a graveyard, you should only go to the graveyard one time. And you know what that's for? When you're dropping them off. When you're dropping them off at the funeral. After that funeral service over with, you know what I'm talking about? And you want to go to the cemetery for them to be buried, that's your first and last time you go out there for that nigga. Hopefully you don't have a lot of funerals you go to in a short period of time. But once you drop them off at the city, what you going back for? What you hanging out at the graveyard for? Like I told we talked about that other day, niggas laying down next to the headstone. For what?
I mean, that's the second time. If your headstone arrival time,
I ain't coming back for the headstone.
Well, if you pay for it, so they put my grandma in the wrong. They put her headstone in the wrong spot, but they thought it was body. So they had to go back.
That's a little different because that's a correction.
Right, but they had to make sure that it was in the right spot. Because sometimes
they will.
But they don't get your headstone right.
I ain't gonna tell you no lie. Shoot, they done put the headstone somewhere. I ain't coming back. You know what I'm talking about? It paid for. It ain't like my nobody gonna pop it. That ain't my headstone. That nigga, he just in there. You know what I'm? You put my headstone right, but they do stuff like that. They got caught doing that at restaurants, stacking caskets on top of each other.
All night, it was something way worse. Like he had a crematory. His parents all took over it.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he thought cremated bodies and laying around, casting on.
Yeah, he was going hard, but restaurant, they definitely got caught for that. That's what my grandma had. I wouldn't dare go out to restaurant talking about find Joanne grave. You know what I'm saying? I might as well just be perpetually unclean for the next 10 years because ain't no good. It's a strong chance she ain't gonna find it. But they don't keep restaurant up. You know what I'm saying? I could be able to go to Edgewood and find my auntie and my pops. Shoot, all you gotta do is go to the front desk. They'll tell you right where to go. It's for real. They'll tell you, oh, that's in such section, and you walk right up on it. But I told you, I rode past a graveyard in Clay County where the church was on the same grounds.
Literally, church, everything.
Well, all I know is when I rode past that one in Clay County, the headstones was in front of the building. So you got to go through the cemetery before you even get to the church house. You know what I'm saying? And don't you know there's a house of prayer and a house? These are not supposed to be here. This whole place is unclean. I'll never go. Somebody, you gonna come to service with a hell? No, I ain't coming around here. There's never death out here. And when you say that now, you're saying that in a literal sense. Like it's death out here. No, I'm not coming. As soon as you step, how you step on church grounds are you unclean? You unclean every time you come in there. The sanctuary unclean. That means y'all ain't nowhere near there. It don't even matter if it's a Christian church or not. He ain't nowhere near there. It's death in the front yard. Started singing.
Oh, singing. I thought you said they started slanging.
Like what they around there slinging?
Right, that's why I was like, what? No, that's the singing. I got the song, but it can't be done. Listen, I was loving so hard.
Well, ain't nothing wrong when they wanted to sing.
No, keep out. Yeah, y'all so extra.
They can't help it. They don't mean no harm. They don't mean no harm. No, Trina. See, I ain't even talking about the church and the graveyard being side by side. I'm saying this graveyard and then the church right here. So before you get to the church, you got to go through the graves. You know what I'm saying? Versus this the church, this the grave. Because I've seen plenty of those. You know what I'm saying? But the grave, the headstones being in front of the building, I had never seen anything like it. Indeed. You know that's white people stuff, but that's neither here nor there. You know what I mean? Cross the street, one thing, because it's in a different area. Oh, that's not good.
Like the cars, right? You know what I'm saying?
That just make me feel bad. I don't even like to see it when you be riding down the street. Like, I hope I ain't unclean. There's a lot of cemeteries in this city. Everywhere. Niggas gotta have a dead body right up under their house. Don't even know it. But hold on. We at verse 5, right? He say, stand by yourself. Come not near to me, for I'm holier than thou. These are smoke in my nose and a fire that burn all the day. So somebody who's a hypocrite who do that, he say he hates you. And it's a fire in his nose that burns all the day. Man, you don't see how raggedy this joint look. They can't see it. So they can barely see my whole body. So, but I said 64. That joint starting to hurt though. Knew I had to take it out the last time. You see how bad that dandruff was. Oh no, I don't pull a Brandon. Brandon said I wash my hair while it was braided, cuz. No, that nigga, you should have heard that nigga the other day. I told you about it. He's talking about, I thought I was gonna be dealing with upscale trash. Nigga say upscale trash? What is that? No, he finna start working for JTA now. So come on back to Isaiah 64. He gonna be the bus man. And I told that nigga, he told him, I said, you better stop talking to people about company policy. They gonna company your butt. They do all kinds. And he just called me the other day and was like, the lady told him, all right, baby, them white folks going. You can stop talking like that. I said, you wonder why them people were calling you a coon. See, I can say it on the camera because I already told him this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's my dog though, man. He wild, but I'm a dog. That nigga wild. Isaiah 64, which is beef real. That nigga love them beef real. Don't talk about beef real. And they say, you want some beef bacon? But y'all wasn't over there that day that nigga went to See, Shayla ain't here. I think you wasn't over there though, D. When that nigga ate Shayla's sweet potato casserole.
She went there when we came down.
No, she wasn't there. Shayla made that sweet potato casserole. That nigga ate that sweet potato. That nigga started doing a jig in the living room. That nigga went to that. That nigga said, oh, that junk was. I wish I'd have recorded that. I'm talking about he was delighted. It was like I'm talking about all jokes aside. He tasted that sweet potato casserole. That boy felt like he caught a piece of heaven. Because that boy went to dancing like he was at church. You know. So, that junk was funny though, man. But that boy did like to have a good time, man, and have fun, man. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That dead serious. He did like to have a good time.
Yeah.
Isaiah 64:4. He say, for since the beginning of the world, men have not heard nor perceived by the ear, neither have seen, O Alahym, besides thee, what he had prepared for him that wait for him. He say, thou meet him that rejoice and work righteousness, those that remember you in their ways. Behold, thou art wroth, for we have sinned, and those is continuance, and we shall be saved. What you think he mean when he say, and you'll meet those that rejoice and work righteousness? Those that remember you in their ways. What you think he mean by that? He said, listen what he said, right? You'll meet him that rejoice and work righteousness. First thing we got to look, as we talk about those who know their Alahym, Isaiah 64:5. The first thing I want you to understand is, what does he mean, but you'll meet him? Meet him in the sky. That ain't in Revelation, though. That's in Thessalonians or in Matthew. So that's the first thing, right? He said, when Mashiach come, he said, let's go and get it. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Hold Isaiah 64. We still got 1 John chapter 3. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. 4 and 13. Don't do Eugene like that. I seen you. I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them which sleep in Yahushua will Alahym bring with him. For this what we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them that are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from Shamahim with a shout, and with the voice of an archmalachim, with the trump of Alahym, and the dead and the Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the cloud to meet the Lord in the air. So we shall ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So when you look at that, right, he said those that work righteousness will meet him. So we have to look at this here, right, what we read in 1 John 3 and 7, right? Let me read that again, because I give you about another 30 minutes. It says, little children, let no man deceive you. He that do righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. So what does this mean when he says that you're righteous? Has anybody ever told you can't be righteous? Don't people say that? That's the Lord. You can't never be righteous as him. That's what people tell you. But the book tell you that's a bold-faced lie. A lot of people say it. Oh, I've heard it a lot, especially when I tell people like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Books say you're born Alahym, you don't commit sin. Oh, only the Lord will be like that. He the only one righteous. Bet you lied. That ain't what he said. He said the servant is not above his master, and everyone that is perfect shall be as his master. That's not what he said. He said something different. You know what I'm saying? So who am I going to believe? You or him? You believe him. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, that's what people say, though. Like this here, how many of y'all done told your people you could be righteous, and the first thing they scream is only the Lord be righteous? That's the first thing they tell you, especially when you learn something new. Like this, I done found out this here. Baby, well, I mean, it's about the same thing. But I done heard people say, "See, you with that righteous stuff, and you on that perfect dot." I'm like, nigga, you sound like so. How I'ma have a Jude wrote in his epistle that, you know what I'm saying, under him that's able to keep you from falling, and how an individual didn't want a stain on their garment. The same thing that Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes about let your garments always be white, because sin is a stain. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all like to wear all white? Now you know a couple years back we used to regularly for at least for Tabernacle, Pentecost, and Passover wear all white. And you know you move a lot differently when you got all white on. You know what I'm saying? You got everything moving close away from your body, because you don't want to stain nothing. You laced up. When you used to wear white shorts in school, niggas bring towels to less.
Everybody has white shorts. You gotta walk different. You got white Air Force Ones on.
What? You got all white kicks on? You do different? White pants on it? You might not do it with a white t-shirt, but if you got white pants on or a white skirt on, you definitely move different. Because you don't want it to be stained, because what you want to keep it clean and pristine. You know what I'm talking about? Well, you're supposed to consider your body in the same fashion. It's an all white garment. I don't want no stain on it. And sin is the stain. You know what I'm saying? And sin is the stain. Unrighteousness is the stain. I don't want to stain myself with no unrighteousness. We don't look at it in that way because you don't have that level of disdain for that. Not like I'm hating people who conduct the act, but you don't want that attached to you. What you got going on is what you got going on. You know, but I know I ain't got that going on. And a lot of people get offended when you let them, hey man, you want to smoke crack, you want to fornicate, you want to lie, you want to worship idols. That's your business. I'm not on that though. And they take it as like you think you better than me. No, you do, because you the one said it. I didn't say that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have people come and say you think you smarter than a nigga. No, I don't. You said it. So that's how you feel. All you doing is just telling me how you feel. So anytime a nigga hit you with that and you ain't carrying yourself that way or stated that, they just reflecting on how, like people like to say, oh, she thinks she better because she don't sleep around. Well, you mad because you a hoe and she ain't? Keep your leg closed. You wouldn't have that problem. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to say, I done heard women say that before. She thinks she better. She ain't nothing but approved. Like, so you mad because she got respect for herself. And you're mad. This doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, it do make sense because she probably mad. She never talked to her.
Everybody they know you might be mad that that's all a nigga wants you for. And then you need to look at yourself. Just like this here, right? If you find out you trying to get with a nigga and all he want from you is booty, then you need to look at his two reasons why. Either he a pervert and you just simple enough to entertain that, or what is it that you giving off that makes him believe that that's all you worth? You know what I'm saying? That's why I tell y'all women anyway that you got to look more at you got more to bring than you'll cook and clean and take care of children, because that's stuff that you would do anyway. So what else can you add? Like I just heard a dude talking about this here man preaching the word, and he ain't telling. I know for me it's something that I held in high regard before the word. Like, why would you want a woman who ain't got no wisdom? Now he was talking about older women, like how you 50, 60, 70 years old and you ain't lived long enough to be able to impart any wisdom to somebody behind you. Because the book say the aged women is supposed to teach the younger woman. So if you an older woman and as a young woman, I can't come to you and get no game, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Or you just stupid. If you make it through 60, 70 years of living and you ain't got no wisdom to impart, that's sad. But that's what we were talking about last night. Like this here, man. Like dudes, you 40, 50, 60 years old. I was locked up with a dude, man. That nigga's name was Old School. But all the old fools. You know what I'm saying? To his face, too. You know what I'm talking about? Been to prison 4, 5 times. And they were like, bro, we can't even get no game for you. Now, this is, of course, now you're talking about this 2005, 6, 7. So we're talking about 10, 12 years ago. He said, go to the car. Well, how are you supposed to get there? Lord have mercy. But I'm looking at it in this regard, right? The jits who when I was in the chain gang, them boys was really expressing like, well, I can't even get no game for these dudes, man. They were looking to get game from these dudes, and they can't even get no game from them or nothing on life. So that's why you see a lot of younger people have disdain for older people because they feel like, nigga, you can't even teach me nothing. And then that means that's your fault as an older person, that if you ain't got nothing to impart to the generation coming behind you. Some of them do want to be young, but then some of them are generally stupid. Now, one dude that I ran across, he wanted to be young. He was 50 years old, sagging his pants, trying to act like all the jits in there. And they didn't respect him. The old fool, he wasn't trying to be young. He was literally just an old fool. Yeah, they did. But see, they weren't necessarily come to him specifically. They just intrinsically, you desire to learn something from people older than you. And when you see you can't get nothing from them, that's sad. You know what I'm saying? That's sad. Because nigga, like, I can't get no wisdom from you. And for me, like, if a woman got wisdom, that's a high up my chart than what she looked like. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't hold that in high regard. Most men hold with wisdom in high regard because she could probably tell you about yourself. And then you're too insecure, so you don't really want no woman to really tell you something, because if she's telling you something, it's for your own benefit. And if it's for your benefit, it's because she cares. But you don't look at it that way. You feel your manhood being attacked. You know what I'm saying? What you feel your manhood being attacked for. So you really want a dumb hoe who can't tell you nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because you're supposed to be imparting wisdom to her. She should be able to impart wisdom to you. Then you're able to move together as a cohesive unit. But you too offended. You too weak. You know what I'm saying? She talking down to me, bro. Nigga, did you listen to what she had to say? Or did you just get in your feelings as soon as you heard it? And a grown man ain't never got no business in his feelings about something that's going to be beneficial for him. But of course, you know, good wisdom and a good rebuke like Robitussin, it don't taste good, but it gets you better when you swallow it. That's why he say faithful are the wounds of a friend. And because wisdom ain't necessarily a rebuke. It's just sometimes dudes have a hard time. Like this here, right? A woman ain't got no business teaching you the word, but shoot, a woman can impart anything else to you in any other aspect of life. He didn't say a woman couldn't do that. Did he say a woman couldn't do that? Have y'all ever read he said a woman couldn't do that? He just said, I don't suffer a woman to teach. That's not her place, to teach this. To teach this. That's it. That's it. But Bruce will get this and be like, a woman can't say nothing, shut your mouth and be quiet and get beneath me and fix my meals. And that's not how that works. No, that's not how that works. Like, why wouldn't you want a woman who got some sense? Some dudes don't want a woman who got some sense. You know what I'm saying? All these niggas like this here, right? Like dude we're talking about last night, right? How can you lead a nation and you can't lead your house? If you can't lead your wife, you can't lead nobody. That's impossible. You know what I'm saying? That's why the book tell you that. Say, hey man got to know how to rule his own household before he ruled the house of Alahym. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was saying that, like, oh, nigga be with that bald-headed hoe stuff. Not me. You put that hoe on the outside of the door. I couldn't deal with it. Every day, contention, strife. Come on, man, that junk gonna drive you crazy. The book say if you got you a strong woman, you supposed to be able to give your heart to her and safely trust you won't do it no harm. You can't do that with no masculine woman who trying to fight you and buck you on every corner. And when you look at it, you talking about safely trust this woman, that means you're supposed to be able to trust this woman's judgment. When he say doing harm, it's not talking about her cheating on you. You know what I'm saying? It's talking about her not disrespecting you. You know what I'm saying? It's talking about her being able to trust that she know what to do and when to do it. Trust that if there's a situation arise, you know what I'm saying, that she would be able to have the wisdom to impart to navigate through it. Because that's what Sarah did with that situation with what her name is, Hagar. If she ain't had no wisdom, they just would have sat there while Ishmael was mocking her son. Wisdom let her know, baby, send that bondwoman her son off, because she ain't going to inherit with my child. You know what I'm saying? Wisdom is when Rachel see my daddy got all these idols, I'm finna take them with him, because they ain't finna keep that and we gonna burn them somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And wisdom say, what? You know what? I'm gonna sit on top of them and tell him I'm on my period as a representation of what these idols are, which is unclean. You know what I'm saying? Period, point blank. But see, dudes don't want that. Most brew want a woman that do what I say. You know what I'm saying? She's not your slave, man. She's not your slave. You know what I'm saying? You want you a slave, go over there to the Middle East. They do that over there. That nigga back there is crazy. But Isaiah 64, man. Remember, right? He said he'll meet him who rejoice and work righteousness. And that rejoicing is going back to The joy of Yahuwah is your strength, and that's one of the fruits of the Ruach, which is joy. But verse 6 though, he say, but we are as unclean thing, and all righteousness are as filthy rags. And we do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities like the wind have taken us away. How many of y'all done said that line before? You know, our righteousness are as filthy rags. How many of y'all done said that before? I hear niggas say it all the time. I'm talking about who's called themselves we in the truth, we woke. You know the one that killed me when they say we a conscious Hebrew. What in God's name is that? An awakened Israelite. What is that? I'm awakened to my heritage, brother. Get your stupid butt out of here, man. But you're not awakened to righteousness, though. Because that's what Paul would write. He say, awake to righteousness and sin not. You know, you're not truly awoke until you resurrected from the dead. And he ain't talking about the literal grave either. Meaning being dead in your trespasses and sins. You ain't literally woke to that juncture. You still in your sins, you ain't woke. You ain't doing nothing but taking the law, killing yourself and killing other people. Ain't bringing them no tree of life. You got to take the tree of life to them. Don't take the Torah with you. Torah ain't going to do you no good when they talking about bringing somebody from death to life. Come on back to 1 John chapter 3, though. But see, when that talking about your right, notice he said all righteousness or as filthy rags. This is why he said he said they go about to submit to their own righteousness and not the righteousness of Alahym. You got to submit to the righteousness of Yah, his righteousness. His righteousness is not filthy rags. If an individual say his righteousness is filthy rags, you just disrespected the Mashiach, which means in turn you just disrespected your Father in heaven. 1 John 3 and 8. He that commits sin is of the devil. The devil sinned from the beginning. For this purpose was the son of Alahym was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Whosoever is born of Alahym do not commit sin, for his seed remain in him, and he cannot sin because he's born of Alahym. Did you know that was in there? That's sad, right? That's sad that them people ain't told you. And now you see how that goes along with what we were talking about when he said you got to be born again. Now, when he say you born again, then he's saying that seed, which is the word, remains in you, and that is what stops you from sinning. You know what I'm saying? It's just not some people like, see, he was God in the flesh. It's really just as simple as that. When you're born again and you put off the flesh and put him on, and that seed, which is the word, remains in your heart, that's what stops you from sinning. Because that's when you know Alahym according to what the new covenant is, which means his word would be in you and it would come to mind and restrain you. It'll stop you from doing something contrary. As 2 Corinthians 5 and about 14 say, the love of Hamashiach constrains us. So it reins you back in. But it can't rein you back in if it's not in you. How's it going to do that? Do you know what I'm saying? And because people are not putting the word into themselves, it can't restrain you. You know what I'm saying? So when situations arise, it's not coming to mind. So they act on your fleshly impulse and fulfill that. Then once you fulfill it, you know intrinsically this probably wasn't the right thing for me to do, but you can't understand why you can't stop moving off that impulse. Because you haven't replaced that stony heart, as he told Ezekiel, and put a heart of flesh in there. And in that heart of flesh contains his word, and that's what's going to constrain you, because you're going to live by your faith at that point. Not, I keep the law. My faith directs me. So because I believe in him when I'm faced in a situation, my first instinct could be carnal, but then the word come to mind and say, no, you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? And you have people like, oh, so you saying you don't sin? This is what the word say. That's what the word just said, right? And the New Testament back it up and forth as the Gospels is concerned, and the Old Testament back that up. But nobody wants to hear that, because it's easier to say that I'm gonna be a transgressor for life than to say that I'm gonna be a saint for life. And that's just mediocre. That's just defeat. Look at verse 10. He say, in this the children of Alahym are manifest, and the children of the devil. So in this regard, people who sin, point blank period, that's Satan's seed. That's why he say you above your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. And ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Those who do not commit sin, you see that those are Alahym's children. And why is that the case? Because you know that it said it's two things one thing that we know it's impossible for Alahym to do. And what is that? Lie. Then it says that he's Kadash and there is no iniquity or sin with him. So you can't say, if you say you a child of Alahym, but you commit sin, then you said your daddy a sinner, and that's what he taught you. Now, if you know your Alahym, you think you'll be saying that? If you know your daddy ain't with fornication, but you say you committing it, so you saying your daddy stamped that. You know what I'm saying? You say your daddy don't lie, he ain't teach you to lie, but you lying. Clearly, that's not your daddy. You don't come from that household. Because they don't do that in that household. So where did you get it from? Oh, that's your daddy. It's a lot of people, if we clown it, you know what I'm saying, being clown and no, and be on there and go on the Maury show talking about, yeah, it's my father. And a lie detector test gonna come back every time and determine that was a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because once he go to judging you according to your works, that is a lie. Satan is your father. See, Bruce don't like to have that conversation because that don't make you feel good. You know why it don't make you feel good? Because you know you're a transgressor. And instead of reacting in the fashion of, let me repent and change my ways, you would rather get mad at the person who's showing you that. Now, I was riding with my homeboy the other day. I told him, I said, bro, he was talking about people praying. I said, bro, you know that man don't hear everybody prayers? He was like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's what the book say. What do people tell you your whole life? Just pray about it. God hear you. No, he don't. He didn't hear you. He did not hear you. These people got to be the dumbest niggas in the history of mankind. Nevertheless, I'm sorry about that. Unbelievable. What it is, that just threw me all the way out. See, in Psalm 66 and 18, he said, if I regard iniquity in my heart, I will not. He said, he will not hear you. So if you regard lawlessness in your mind, y'all will not hear anything you ask him for. Like when he say hear you, he hears what you asking for, but he's not gonna grant it. You know what I'm saying? He'll hear you all day long, but he ain't gonna grant it. You know what I'm saying? And then John 9:31 say, we know that Alahym does not hear the prayers of sinners, but those who do the will of Alahym, him he hear. Did you know that was in there? That's sad, ain't it? The people ain't told you that. And that's right, that's right in their favorite part of the book. Let's go get it for John 9:31. That's right in their favorite part of the book. Now, I done told all them in here, they know that. When I first read that for the first time, I remember my homeboy say, when he heard a dude preach that for the first time, he said he was offended. He didn't want to hear it. When I read that for the first time, it made complete and total sense to me because I thought about my mom. You know what I'm saying? That when I didn't do what she told me to do and I asked her for something, she said no. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. So it's a difference that when you hear that and you get offended, it really shows what type of heart you got because you feel like you should get what you want even though you don't do what you told. You know what I'm saying? And that's unacceptable. John 9:31, it says, now we know that Alahym hear not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of Alahym and do his will, him he hear. Now y'all know, everyone in y'all in here know when you ain't do the will of your parents, they ain't give you what you asked them for. Like, think to yourself, what type of way is that to teach a child? You tell a child not to do something, they don't do it, and then you reward them for it. So you reward them, you told them by proxy that disobedience is a rewardable action. That you don't really have to follow instructions and you can still get what you want. Who would teach a child in that fashion? No responsible parent would teach their child that way. But you know what? A lot of people do that in these days and time. Just go on and give it to them. They ain't gonna hurt nothing. And if your people do your kids like that, you ought to say, nah, we taking it back. You know what I'm saying? Don't give him this. Because he ain't been doing this over here. Don't bring him nothing. And if you bring it, I'm going to take it back to you because I don't teach him that over here. But it's just, I don't want to hear that because I got to deal with this nigga when you go home. What you talking about you teaching them? I got to deal with that when you leave. You know what I'm saying? For real though. Because they can say this because one day they're going to be dead and you got to deal with the after effects of reinforcing disobedient behavior. You've been rewarding disobedient behavior. Now, when he get 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, some of them people who was rewarding that disobedient behavior going to be in the grave and you got to deal with it. Shoot, but them your turn. I don't care who they are, grandmas, aunties. Shoot, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You have to draw that line. I've separated from y'all. I'm married. I've left my mother and father's house. And I cleave unto my wife. I intercede on what we got going on this. I ain't got no problem doing that. But when I tell you, son, please respect that.
Y'all need to draw boundaries. Like, why would you let her do that? Right. I'm confused how they thought to crush your mind.
Because a lot of people don't think about it, because a lot of people feel like once you get grown, you can't tell your parents no.
Yeah, that's what it was. He's like, my mom's crazy. My mom's crazy. I'm like, y'all need to set a boundary because y'all gonna be crazy. That's wild.
I ain't gonna be crazy, because mama, you ain't gonna come around here, because it's my turn. I know about race, and mom, you did an all right job. You know, I'm functional. I'm here. But let me do mine how I want to do mine, because these mine. You know how I know? Because I had the fun making them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm got to have the fun to pay for them. So I'm going to rear them how I want to. And I need you to respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, my cousin was dead serious about that. When Sean was little, I don't think Sean, how old Sean was before she started letting him eat candy muffin? You remember? I know for at least till he was about 5 or 6, he couldn't eat no candy whatsoever. And she was dead serious about that. Like, do not give him no candy. Get that nigga some fruit. When people see you serious about it, they'll respect it. And if they don't respect it, then you ain't got to come around here and see them. But mainly just on, grandparents, they like to spoil the children. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't really believe in spoiling too tough. You can't show it. A child can't never get too much love. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as you love them too much. I don't know where people get that from. That's impossible. But yeah, but you ain't got to spoil them with gifts with bad behavior though. That's what you're not gonna do. Cause guess what? I set him up in the closet. That nigga never see it. Straight up. Shoot, I'm living witness to that. My mama like to say, "Oh, you don't want to do what I tell you? I take all these Christmas gifts back," and she surely did. She surely did, and didn't let my auntie. She say, "Take that nigga stuff back too. Don't give that nigga nothing." That's how you ought to do it. Guess what y'all do? You think you're gonna be disobedient? He gonna give you a spiritual gift. God don't give his gifts to sinners. What type of sense that make? That's how people want to roll, man. That's how people want to roll. Come on back to I'm finna. Oh, I didn't even get what I wanted out of first time yet. And I swiped it off. We finna get ready to wrap it up on anyway, man, because we finna take off again in 3 hours. So I ain't gonna hit you too hard. Verse 11, for this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother. Wherefore slew he him, because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. Now let's take a thought process, right? People take that and say, see, he was Satan's child. Now let's see what the law say, if this was Satan's child or not. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if the text say that. Who child this is? People really say Cain was Cain, the devil got a seed, and it's Cain's seed. You stupid bastard. Want to be smart, you're so stupid. Because the book tell you who his daddy is. Now let's see who it is. Genesis 4:1. I just want to see if the law tell you who his daddy is. Because the law tell you who Cain's daddy is. Say Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I've got the man from Yahuwah. Now, Cain is Adam's firstborn son. This is his firstborn son. It says clear as day, this is Adam's son, not Satan's son. Do y'all know why people say, besides that instance that we referred to, do you know the other reason why people say Cain is Satan's son?
Yeah.
What we just read in John. Then it said he is of the wicked one. But there's another reason why they say Cain is Satan's son as well.
Because that's why she gave birth to Cain. That's not it.
No, that's not it. I never heard that one. The genealogy in Genesis 5, Cain ain't in it. You know what I'm saying? He's not in it. You go read it for yourself. He's not in it. You can read it in Luke 3. He's not in it. So people take that and say, see, that was the devil's child. That's why he's not in that. We've been talked about this before. Why is Cain not in that genealogy? He's not a son of Alahym, so why would he be counted? Nigga was a sinner. He was a murderer. And he said, the lust of your father ye will do. And if that genealogy is a genealogy of the sons of Alahym, then that's a genealogy of whose names are written in heaven, which lets you know Cain's name is not in heaven. That's why he said, you've heard this from the beginning, that we ought to love one another. Not as Cain, who was he said, you of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. What do you see Cain doing? The lust of his father, because he was not of Alahym, because he was evil and his brother wasn't. So he persecuted the righteous. This is why in Galatians it said, the children of the flesh persecute the children of the Ruach as it is this day. This is why he said, I am not of the world. I've chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world will hate you and persecute you because you were not of the world. Because if you were of the world, then they would hear you. So when you know your Alahym, this is going to cause a delineation between you and them. They carnal, you not. That's why I was telling you, like, the nation building stuff, that stuff cool, but that's carnal. So when you look at that and you see that, and when you had that conversation and you say that's carnal. See that brother there, he ain't trying to do this here. He ain't trying to unify. Who said anything about not unifying? But you're unifying under the wrong banner. You're not doing it according to Yah's will. You're doing it according to yours. So when the difference comes down and you see people standing for the gospel in deed, in word, and in truth, you're going to be offended and you're going to kill them. Because this man told you they're going to put you out of the synagogues and kill you and think they're doing Alahym service. So you think that's what he wasn't talking about Gentiles doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to be a difference. Because what did Cain do? All Cain did was kill his brother because he came and brought anything, and Abel brought the best of everything. You know what I'm saying? And you was offended because what he did was righteous before Yah, and what you did wasn't. So now you want to fight. Now you want to kill. That's why he tell you this here. It's a different. When you know your Alahym, you see Cain clearly didn't know Yah. That's why he brought him that. I can bring you anything, he'll take it. You know what I'm saying? Now this say clear as day. This is Adam's son. But he was evil. And what made him evil? It was his heart. And it go to show you, just because your father's righteous don't mean your kids will be. Because a lot of people like Adam wasn't like people like, well, Adam and Eve gonna be in the kingdom. She sinned. She transgressed by learning the law. But they weren't evil because they learned the law. They just was disobedient because you didn't do what I told you to do. Do you know what I'm saying? But you know, people put that out there, evil, wicked woman. She wasn't, because you don't know what she was taught. You thought the tree of knowledge of good and evil was something, this, that, and the third, and it was the law. I didn't want you to know that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why he tell you, and malice be children, but in understanding be men. Because I don't want you to know about that. See, children don't know nothing. So he didn't want, I don't want you to know no law. You don't need to know none of that. Just chill. Eat all this stuff over here. Learn about me. Live forever. Don't worry about this over here. That don't pertain to you. You learn about it. Now you got to die. Now I got to set all this stuff in motion because you know how people is. You worry about stuff that don't pertain to you. You know what I'm saying? Mind your business. You ever notice when you mind your business, you have less trouble in your life? The most drama I had in my life was being surrounded by people who didn't mind their own business. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't never had no problem like that for me because I don't care what a nigga got going on. Not enough to be prying and trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I care what people got going on, but I don't care enough to be like, oh, you know what? Let us hear, man, grown men got, you hear that junk all the time now. I got the tea. Grown men. Grown men. What you mean you got the tea, nigga? Nigga, that's gay. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm dead serious though. And it ain't that niggas just know. They seeking it out. You seeking out other people's business. So you can laugh at them. Talk about it. Nigga, I don't care enough. Too much time on your hands. That's why the book tell you men ought to work and be quiet. He say, unless you be busybodies. Because you know what I'm saying? When you ain't got nothing going on, you got idle time. You worrying about stuff ain't got nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? That's why the book tell the women, go and get your husband now, because you don't want to be idle, because you're in busybodies. You run around in the street. You over here, you over there, you over there. You got a husband, you got some children, you got something to take up your time. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got nothing to take up your time. You heard what happened to such and such? No, I ain't heard about it. I don't want to hear about it. Nigga hit my phone with that a few months ago. I ain't even told you what happened. I say, shoot, nigga, I don't want to know what happened. And they would throw it because they wasn't expecting that, because I genuinely don't care. It ain't got nothing to do with me. What you telling me for? But all jokes aside, though, you'll be amazed how that can keep peace in your life and also extend your lifespan if you stay out of stuff that ain't got nothing to do with you.
I didn't say that was phenomenal.
What's that?
But you just keep minding your own business. I ain't saying that was phenomenal.
You'll be surprised.
No, you told me you'll be surprised how much like that's supposed to, right?
You would think so. Like I told y'all before we started, like the old head told me before you go on the road, just mind your business. Nigga, you ain't got, I'm a mind my business anyway. Nigga, if them niggas over there robbing, gambling, you know what I'm saying, whatever, what that got to do with me? What I care about these niggas selling drugs in the penitentiary for? They ain't got nothing to do with me. I ain't selling no drugs with them. You know what I'm saying? I might buy some weed from them, but I ain't selling it with them. And shoot, if I buy it, I get caught with it. That's on me. What am I be like, oh, them niggas over there in Dorm F got the weed. No, shoot, you caught me with my beat. I come out in 60 days, I smoke again. I can't get no weed. What am I telling this nigga for? I'm gonna go lay down and do these 60. Hope this nigga don't get something back here while I'm back here. You know, I don't care nothing about losing these 180 days game time. I got 5 years mandatory. You know what I'm saying? So, well, 5 years with 3 years minimum mandatory. So I couldn't get no game time on the first 3 years, but then they changed the state law, so they started letting me get it. Because I had caught me a failed drug test. I hadn't even been in prison 30 days. Straight up. My homie, we out there in that cemetery cutting grass, and they say, boy, I got it, boy. I say, well, shoot, why you ain't rolling? Straight up. Don't tell me what you got. Nigga, put that junk in the wind, nigga. Good and grease, too. Out there smoking with the dead people. All these niggas dead. We supposed to be cutting grass. Boy, I'm finna smoke this weed. Care nothing about all the junk going on out here. Then we went and played ball. We was cranking them niggas out that day. They hit that thing to call me up front to take that drug test. That nigga poked his head out the door and looking. I'm like, nigga, I ain't finna tell on you, nigga. What's wrong with you, nigga? I'm finna go lay down, nigga. I don't wanna work anyway. Cracker got out here working in the sun. You weren't about nigga telling on you. Never disrespect me like that. Shoot, I went and did they didn't even give me 60 days. They gave me 30. That cracker looked at me and say, you do it again? I say, sure would, and blow the smoke in your face. He said, I believe it too. I didn't care, man. I'm like, I got 5 years. I got 3 years mandatory. I'm finna get hot, man. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up. Them niggas got it, I'm finna smoke. Real, what I'm gonna do? One thing I knew was November 30th, 2009, you were gonna have to let me go. Regardless of what. November 30th, you're gonna have to let me go. I don't care nothing about no March 1st, 2009. Only reason I ain't maxed it out because Lil Muffin wanted me out of graduation. I said, I can't disappoint him. I'm already in prison. So I done disappointed her in that regard as it is. You know what I'm saying? But, because, boy, I was ready to max that on out, man. Do the whole 5. No, because y'all don't know the state of Florida is what they do, right? Say you get 6 months game time, and that's what you get out with. They like to put you on conditional release or put you on paper for the game time that they had you working for. You know what I'm saying? See, they give you 6 days a month and then 4 more days for working. So you get 10 days a month off your sentence. So say if somebody catch 10 and they did the minimum 8.5, then they want to put them on papers for the 18 months. Then if you violate, they send you back to do the rest. And I'm like, I'd rather max mine out. I done seen them send dudes back to do 14 days, 90 days. My homeboy got something back to do 90 days. We was on the street with him. He got locked up, violated his conditional release. They sent him back to prison to do 90 days. When I went to prison, we was there with a dude. He was there to do 14 days. And what they do that for is every time you go through the reception process, you get another letter. So when you get your ID, if you ain't never been to prison, it's going to say 0. But if you come back, it's going to say 8, and then so on and so forth. So you might be on the same case, but you might have a C letter, like you've been here 4 times on 4 different cases. And then they take that when you go to court, and they use that to try to get you more time if you do something else later on down the line. You know what I'm saying? Because if you've ever been arrested, you have a Department of Corrections number, even if you ain't never been to prison. Like just talking about it, I just remember mine because I had forgot it. But that junk was J28890 because you got to repeat it and write it down so much. That's why dudes remember it. You know what I'm saying? You have to watch it. If you ever been locked up, you got a DC number. And they waiting for it to upgrade it to send you up the road. Straight up and down. It's a dirty game, man. You can't get caught up in that junk, man. You know what I'm saying? Now you ain't got no business getting caught up in it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think none of y'all been to jail. Ain't none of y'all. You say you did about 22 hours, right?
Yeah, I did it the other day. Hard time.
Hard time. You ready to jump off that top rail?
Looking outside, the fella going on too. Looking at the fella.
Sad, like you ain't never getting out. Nigga on there on the first grade misdemeanor. Nigga like, boy, let me go. Nigga, I want free. No, they don't have that. There ain't no bars in there. Ain't no bars in not in the Duval County jail. That junk just a blue door with plexiglass. Them niggas be in there like this here, bum, 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 beating on the door all night long, screaming and hollering. Nah, see what you talking about? That's old school stuff. Ringing the cup against the bars, but the Duval County jail they ain't got that. That junk just a blue door. Remember when Will say he did his time? Will say I did a whole 24 hours, boy. When I got locked up in 05, that's when the Super Bowl was here. Them niggas were looking sick looking out that window. I said, boy, get out that window, boy. Don't do yourself like that. You know what I'm talking about? They say, bro, it's going down, Puffy having parties. Just get out the window. Just get out the window. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't getting out, cuz. Ain't none of you like this here, man. It's all good, man. Get out the window. Yeah, the rest of y'all ain't none of y'all been locked up before. You pray God for that. That junk there ugly, boy. That junk there ugly.
Like, a couple hours later.
What you were locked up for?
Shoot, a little weed up every day.
Oh shoot, nigga, I'd have went in that junk. It was like this here, man. Bump you cracker. They finna RR, nigga. I'm going home on first release.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Christmas battle. Cause I had the least amount of weed in the car. I don't know what got arrested.
That was the first case I ever caught. Rolling up in Regency parking lot. I ain't know they had cameras in the lights. Just like 99, I ain't know that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they put a bulletin out there. We got cameras in the light watching you niggas. You know what I'm saying? Homeboy was going to get his prom suit. I just copped 2 fat bags from Whispering Oak. You know what I'm saying? Sitting in the car, rolling up. They roll up on me. They like, where's the dope? I say, lady, I don't smoke crack. She talking about, you know what I mean? Where's the marijuana? I said, I don't know nothing about no marijuana, baby. I don't know nothing about that. They said they ROR me though. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't even care though. I'm just up in here, man. It's just chilling, man. That junk ain't bother me. None. I ain't had no nerves. Did what it is.
Push a button, they let you out. They let you out.
Oh, you was in there like Akon, huh? You locked up? They won't let you out. Shoot, let me go ahead and end this here, man. Most High willing. We pick this up at 7:30 because we're gonna crank it up again, man. Dang, dear, you done got locked up twice? Already? What you been out there doing, man? Hey, what they locked you up for, man? Hold on before we end this stream. What they locked you up for, bro? Shoot, Lisa auntie might be going to jail around here driving with no license. Yeah, that's even worse. Yeah, don't. Hey, I'm telling you right now. We're getting harassed by police. I'm telling y'all right now, bro. Boy, if your license suspended, don't be riding around Florida now. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've been to prison with dudes. That's what they was there for. But you know, hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. I appreciate everybody. Most High willing, we're gonna pick this up at 7:30. Do it again. So, no love, y'all. Appreciate y'all. You who are willing, we be back on the stream is in action for us. So, yes, sir. Dang, they put a warrant out there for you for that? Man, De'Aaron said they put a warrant out because of his license, because the kids was out of school too much because of the feast days. That junk, that crazy. Them white folks something else, boy.